Okay, take it away.
Okay, we're going to start. For those who are not here, we're on campus, so we're wearing masks. So as long as you can hear me, that's okay. I'm going to speak for 5 minutes or less. We're going to share my screen in a minute when we open the slides. But I just want to introduce a few people. I'm Howard Gold. I'm a professor in the government department, and I'm the faculty liaison for the programs in Geneva. And then just a few people, Lisa Johnson, who's the Associate Dean for International Study. Angelo Pisano, who is our, our coordinator of study abroad. And Brent Durbin in the back, my colleague in the government department, who's becoming increasingly familiar with our programs in Geneva. And then I'm going to introduce our colleagues and friends in Geneva, Eliane Menassian, who is the head of international programs, Michal Sella, who is the deputy head of student services. Did I get that right? Excellent. And Silke Olsen, who is the academic coordinator. Did I get that right? Okay, good. And then we have two of our Smith students who are actually on the program right now. We're going to share their impressions and help answer questions later. Zora Steedley, who's waving, and Vivi Tarbert, who is, there you are. Okay, great. So I'm going to share this screen. I think I can manage. Let me share this screen. Let's share this, right?
Choose the PowerPoint.
Is this it?
Yep.
And is this what I would know? Where is, I can't see a thing. I want to enlarge it.
That's the one.
There you go.
Okay, great. So I'm going to do a really short presentation about the program, just telling you kind of how it works from the Smith end. Then I'm going to turn it over to Eliane and our colleagues in Geneva, who will do a more in-depth presentation about the Graduate Institute. So how does the program work? You spend the fall semester of your senior year at the Graduate Institute in Geneva. You come back to Smith for the spring semester of your senior year, and you graduate from Smith with a BA after 4 years, as you normally would. Then after you've graduated from Smith, you go back to Geneva, you go back to the Graduate Institute, and you spend your 5th year there, and you end up with an MA degree from the Graduate Institute in 5 years, as opposed to 6 years. So if you did BA and then went as a regular graduate student, it would take you 6 years. So you're saving a year this way. How do the finances work? In the fall semester of senior year, so when you're in Geneva, but you're still a Smith senior, students pay their normal tuition fees, room and board. Okay, sorry, we're having some technical problems. Hold on a sec. I'm going to.
Probably need to be plugged in and we don't need a cord.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to open the slides and I can share the slides off this computer. So for now, you're not going to see the classroom, just for a minute, if I can figure out where they are. Sorry, our main projector crashed. So now, yeah.
If you put your computer, your laptop on the table, the front table, and the students can gather, they can.
They don't have to see the slides. There's a small number, and I can summarize the points.
Okay, because otherwise it's a small number.
You're getting one.
So I want to. Did I open PowerPoint?
You can try to like reset it. It's not my boss here, and I can ask it. So you're, but yeah, you can like just take your like charger.
Can you see my screen now, people who are remote? I'm just going to do it like this for now while we reboot the projector. So as I was saying, I'm just going to go on. Yeah, it just shut down completely.
Okay, so was it plugged into something?
No.
No.
Okay.
Just the way it is right now.
Oh, if you're trying to project on.
Yeah, we're projecting from this onto that.
All right, well, I'll open the podium and see if there's like a plug in there or something.
I'm going to continue the presentation because we don't have that much time. So as I said, in fall semester of your senior year, you pay the normal tuition fees to Smith, room and board, and Smith covers your costs in Geneva. This is called the homeschool fee policy at Smith. Students who are on financial aid continue to receive their financial aid as if they were at Smith. Year 5 at the Graduate Institute, students are responsible for their tuition and fees and room and board. And according to the Graduate Institute webpage, tuition in the Graduate Institute is 8,000 francs at current exchange rates, about $8,700 US per year, and living expenses are estimated to be about $2,200 US at current rates per month. And students can apply to the Graduate Institute for financial aid that they would use in their 5th year, but you have to apply when you originally applied to the program. So when you apply during your junior year at Smith for the BAMA program, you would also apply to the Graduate Institute for financial aid. Eligibility for Smith is a GPA of 3.5 or higher. You must have completed 96 credits of coursework by the end of the junior year. That means you can't be in credit deficit. If you spent both semesters of your junior year away, you're not eligible for the program, but Smith has a residency requirement. So if you're 1 semester away, that's fine. There is no language requirement for this program. If you don't have a background in French, you'll be taking it there. You start with a kind of French boot camp. The application process is really important. Students apply through Smith in the fall of your junior year. So if you're a junior now, you're going to be applying quite soon. And our deadline is December 10th. We've made it a bit earlier. It's December 10th. And if we recommend a small number of students to go on. You then apply separately to the Graduate Institute. Getting in at Smith is no guarantee that you'll be admitted at the Graduate Institute. Most of our students have been admitted, but there's no guarantee. So you apply to Smith by December 10th, and if you're recommended, you apply to the Graduate Institute by January 15th, and that's a firm deadline. If you're a junior now, you plan to apply within the next month or two, please come see me so I can kind of help coordinate things. And finally, it's my last slide. When you apply to the Graduate Institute, you apply to a specific track. There are 5 disciplinary tracks and 1 interdisciplinary track. So again, you can't apply and list priorities or order of preference. You have to choose a track that you're going to apply to. And the tracks are Masters in Anthropology and Sociology, that's disciplinary, as is International Economics. That's one track that requires you take the GRE before you apply. Masters in International History and Politics, Masters in International Law, Masters in International Relations, Political Science. Those are the 5 disciplinary tracks. And then 1 interdisciplinary track, the Masters in International and Development Studies. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop my share. In a minute, we'll have them back on the big screen. And I'm going to now turn it over to Eliane. Presentation from your end.
Thank you, Howard.
Actually, Eliane, hold on a sec, please. We're having some audio problems. If you can wait a minute, we're going to be back on the big screen and your voice will be projected.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So you just need to zoom in, right?
Mhm.
We don't need the slides up anymore. If I have to, I'll put them up. Do we know why the thing crashed? Did she know?
The battery,
Or it wasn't plugged in? Take the parameter. Okay, we're about a few seconds away from getting this to work. I should mute this again.
Okay.
Okay, we're set up. Eliane, I think we can hear you now if you talk.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me well? Yes, can you hear me?
Hang on just a sec. She should be good.
Mhm.
Lisa? Lisa?
I don't know if there's a problem. There's no idea.
Can someone else say something? Mika, can you say something?
I certainly can. Can you hear me?
Not getting no idea.
Michal, I can hear you.
Okay. Hello. Nope.
I can hear you well, Michal.
Yeah, but looks like nobody else can on the other side of the pond.
Can you try again?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, now it's
Yeah.
working.
Thanks,
Okay,
Ed.
sorry. Yeah, you can go ahead now. Sorry about that.
Okay, great. Okay, well, hello everyone. I'm saying hello from my home in Arzier, which is an hour from Geneva. Thank you, Howard, for organizing this session. And it's really a pleasure to being here once again. Thank you first for your interest in the BA-MA program. And what to say, Smith College was the first of our 12 partners in the joint programs. And it was into 2015 that we welcomed the first 4 students for this particular program. And well, it's going to be great to listen to Vivi and Zora to what they have to share with you about their experience and recommendations on how to apply and how to get to Geneva. Michal Sela, Michal will present the institute to you. So I'm not going to say a lot about that. And Zilke will present the interdisciplinary master program to you. So I'm not going to talk about the programs either. And well, Howard, you have presented the BA-MA program wonderfully. There's not much I have to add, just maybe to say that in order to apply for this program, you need to show 3 years of studies in social sciences at the BA level. If you apply for the interdisciplinary master, and if you apply to one of the disciplinary masters, same thing, you have to show 3 years of bachelor level in the relevant discipline. And if you are interested to apply in a program specializing in law or economics, a solid background is required in these fields of studies. You've been through tuition fees. I'm not going to come back to that. You will be nominated by Smith College. And very important, please use the special link, which Howard Gold and Lisa Johnson will share with you to apply to the program, so we can keep track on your application. Although we don't have much more power on that, but at least to have an eye on that. Besides our regular master programs, we offer students who do not speak French or have little knowledge of French to participate in a French course organized at the Graduate Institute. So again, if you don't have any or little knowledge, you will attend a 3 weeks intensive French course prior to the start of the academic year in September, and then follow weekly classes during the fall semester. We encourage you to pursue French lessons during the spring semester when you go back to Smith College. And at the beginning of the fall semester, you will take a French test. And in case of failure, you will continue the French lessons during the semester. And finally, take another test at the start of the 4th semester. Students who speak fluently French or who do have a secondary or post-secondary diploma in French are not required to take the French courses. What else? Yes, well, once you will be admitted, you will receive regular communications from our admissions office about the steps you need to take. Should there be a visa process, which is required for non-EU citizens? It's important to note also maybe that the visa process may take up to 3 months. So get organized as soon as you have received the information if you are admitted. Michal is going to say something, and probably also our students are going to tell you more about the accommodation. We do have 2 students' residences, which are very close by our campus, within walking distance. So keep this in mind. It would be important to keep this in mind. And well, for the BAMA program, I don't have much to add. Again, we remain at your disposal to respond to any of your questions. And I would like to leave the floor to Michal. Pass it over to you for the presentation of the Institute. And of course, again, I remain at your disposal for questions afterwards.
Great, thank you so much. Before I start sharing my screen, can I just have a check? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you well.
Yeah, can you hear me? Because we had a technical problem, I don't know if you need to make any adjustments to the timing of the presentations. How long do I have?
What's the time, Angela? It's 12:36. What time do, it's roughly one-ish? So we have about half an hour left. So that would include your presentation, the other presentation, and we want to hear from the students as well.
I'm sorry, something froze there. I didn't catch.
I said we have roughly a half an hour left.
We have half an hour left. So there's my presentation. Yeah, and then we'll let Silke present the interdisciplinary program, the students, and maybe some Q&A. I'll try to keep this as short as possible. So I'll show you where my presentation is. You can access it on your own. It's publicly available. I'm going to whiz through it and try to really only focus on the relevant points. I hope I won't be going on too much. So let me do that right now. And I just want to say that I'm quite impressed with your problem-solving abilities. We may not remember that there was a technical glitch, but we will remember that it was corrected very, very quickly. So I'm very impressed with that. Well done.
Feel that fast.
Okay. This is a page called Meet Us, and it contains information specifically for prospective students and people who are not yet applying but planning to apply. There is a video of the campus that you can watch. There is a link to arrange a video call with us as well if you need some one-on-one contact. And this is the famous presentation, which I'm going to be using right now. Okay, here we go. So I hope you can all see the screen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about the history of the Graduate Institute, because I think it's important to understand our identity, what kind of a strange and tiny school we are and what makes us special. I want to spend a few minutes talking about the student body, because it's one of those things that makes us very different from other schools. And then maybe whiz through some of the other information, but feel free to stop me or to come back if you need any more details on anything. So the Graduate Institute didn't materialize out of thin air. In the first half of the 20th century, a lot of things were happening in Geneva at the end of the First World War. The other institution that had been founded here just a few years before we did was the League of Nations, which is really the foundation of the United Nations as we know it today. So the very, very beginnings of organized world governance, which was based on an international treaty with the aim of preventing another big war. And for that, they picked a place that had been historically and traditionally neutral, being, Switzerland, providing a safe place for these representatives of opposing states and different opinions and leaders to come together and hash it out safely. So that was really what was kind of going on in Geneva at the time. The city was becoming, building itself up as a world capital, as a hub for international diplomacy. And that's something that Geneva continues to do today on the world stage. The Graduate Institute was founded to provide what we like to call the academic facet of all of that diplomatic activity. So this new profession, this nascent profession of diplomats and international relations professionals, they needed a place to be trained. There was need for a place that would produce new knowledge and research in those areas and that would teach people. And that's what our school really was aiming to do right from the beginning. And you will see this reflected in our missions and activities even today. But before we go into our activities, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about who is actually here. And because this really sets us apart, I think. I don't know what is the percentage of international students that you guys have at Smith. If somebody has it on their fingertips, please shout it out. When I went to university, I went to another country, and I was one of maybe 10 or 12% of the students of a very large university who were international. So I went with one of my goals was to immerse myself into the local culture, learn about, the jokes and the media and the food and the holidays, etc. At the Graduate Institute, we flipped that on its head. Only about 10% of our students are actually from Switzerland. Everybody else comes from all over the world. So really, we can say that the only dominant culture that we can speak of at our school is international, intercultural, cross-cultural. Okay, so what does that mean for the student experience? It means that a lot of the learning happens outside of the classroom because you will be living and socializing and learning and working with people who come from different places, who have different habits, different values, different ways of doing things, different norms, different standards. But in the classroom, this is important as well. We're not a university that, our programs are not programs in chemistry and mathematics and physics where we can all unite around a universal formula. On the contrary, we come to class to talk about the very things that would normally be considered taboo in our society. We're going to talk about values. We're going to talk about religion. We're going to talk a lot about politics and money. So this might be the first time for a lot of people that you're actually going to be confronting or talking to or listening to people who have a totally different narrative to yours. And, because of where all of our students come from is so much diversity, inevitably, we're going to be having people in the same class who come from maybe opposing sides of a conflict, right? And it might be the very first time that they actually sit and talk and listen to the opponent's side. And this can be a scary experience. It can push you outside of your comfort zone, but we really believe that that tension point outside of your comfort zone is exactly where all the learning happens. So one of the things that we really aim for in terms of our study program is to teach our students to be open to receiving, to be curious, and to be able to hold up a multiplicity of viewpoints all at the same time. That's how we view geopolitics. This is what international affairs really means for us. So we're not the kind of school that is training people to be in the foreign service of a specific country, right? We're not the public policy school. We really are always trying to take kind of a zoom out, a bird's eye view, so that we can keep under our, keep in sight all the different points of view in terms of where people are from, in terms of their perspectives, but also in terms of the different disciplines that interact. And you'll see those in just a minute. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, but the research activities at the Institute are important to us. They represent about 1/3 of our total activity. And we do have these 9 research centers. You can see that they're thematic orientations, they're themes. They don't belong to any one of the majors that we teach. They cut across them, right? They're closer, if you like, to the UN SDGs, the Strategic Development Goals, than they are to the academic disciplines that we teach. We are able to attract researchers from all over the world of a very high caliber. And so there is a very kind of bubbly, humming research community at the Institute. Many of our faculty members, our professors, have positions in these research centers. They might direct them or be in charge of some projects. And many of the researchers also come in as visiting faculty and give classes to our students. A lot of the projects are funded externally by the European Union, the Swiss National Fund, and also by the international organizations in Geneva that give us these research mandates to work on, because they recognize the quality of the research that we can produce. And it means that our students get exposure to this very professional research community. So there's a lot of kind of cross-fertilization that happens between the research activities and the teaching activities, which is what we're going to talk about now. So you already have seen, thank you very much, Howard, the disciplines. I don't have to repeat all of them. You can see that the word international is very important in almost all of them. And that, again, confirms what I said before, how we really have this very international, global orientation in everything that we teach. And we have the interdisciplinary program that I will let Silke talk about, so I won't go on too much. These are all Master of Arts programs, and they are all 2 years long. The 3 first semesters are spent taking courses, and the last semester is spent working on the master thesis. I know that you guys are going to have a different format, but it's important to know the kind of program that you'll be joining and see exactly where you fit in with your BA/MA program. And you can see, like I said, this is what I said before about the research community and its ties with the teaching activities. So our disciplinary MA programs can lead to doctoral programs in the same discipline. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the exchange opportunities. Just have a look at the scope of this map so that you can see the kinds of and the number of academic partnerships that we have around the world. Summer programs, if anybody feels like coming to Geneva for a week or several weeks in the summer. These are weeks that are organized around specific themes in international affairs. Students take classes with our faculty and then do some site visits in Geneva. And it's a really great way to confirm the study program, to confirm that this is really where your interests are and that you like Geneva, that you enjoy studying here. So some students do that as a summer activity. You can do it for credit as well. I won't go into much detail about executive education. We'll jump right through to our student life. And I think we have some students with us today who can confirm or disagree or give you more details and kind of pat this out. But you can imagine that with only 1,000 students, our campus is not the kind of campus that will have sprawling, football fields and swimming pools. So the main leisure, or not leisure, I would say extracurricular activities of our student body are really centered around their academic interests. This is what they do for fun. These are student-run initiatives. This is not the full list. And you can see that they really spend a lot of their free time building networking activities, meeting professionals, and interacting and really building up their experience in the same areas that they're passionate about for their studies. And this is maybe a big difference between more of an undergraduate program and really a school that is only a graduate school. Eliane can tell you much more about our pastoral care and student support and well-being because she heads that unit. So I won't go into too much detail there. We do have agreements with the large university right down the road from us, the University of Geneva. Our students can benefit from their sports, leisure, and cultural activities. And it's also a really good way to meet some local students. So we have a small campus, but that doesn't mean that our students don't have access to the full range of fun activities as well. I'm going to skip over the career outcomes. I will invite you to go and look at those in the website. Maybe at the end, if we have more time, if you're interested, I can give you more detail. And the career services, and I'm going to skip right through to this next slide, which I think gives you an idea of the scope of the international community in Geneva. And remember what I said before about Geneva in the last beginning of the last century, building up its role on the world stage as a capital of diplomacy. And this is where we are today with hundreds of the UN orbit or the UN system organizations, multilateral organizations that have their headquarters here. You can see all the acronyms. They're a bit of a mouthful. Advocacy groups, non-governmental organizations, headquarters of participant member organizations that work in cooperation and development, and so on. These provide a lot of networking and internship and professional opportunities for students, and also for the research projects Silke will mention a little bit of that more when she talks about the interdisciplinary program. And I will leave you with this last image that again visually represents this density of international organizations right here in Geneva. Our graduate institute is right here, kind of in the middle, in these funny shaped petal buildings called Maison de la Paix. And so you can see that we're really in the middle of this very, very international neighborhood of international organizations. I will stop talking here. I think I've gone on for about 15 minutes, so a little bit over what I wanted to do. And I think I will pass the floor to Silke.
Thank you, Michal. I'm going to jump right in so that we don't waste any time. The reason I'm here is really to talk a little bit more about the interdisciplinary program, because as you saw, you can apply to different master programs, but in the end, the majority of our BAMA students end up joining the Master in International and Development Studies. So I'm going to try to keep it short, but as you heard, it's a 2-year program. You'll be doing 3 semesters out of the 2-year program, the 4 semesters. And the difference between our program perhaps compared to the other masters is that we are much more practice orientated in our activities and what we propose to the students. And we're also interdisciplinary, it's in the title. And in practice, this means that you will be taking classes with faculty from across all the departments of the Institute. So really to be able to kind of help you to look at issues from a myriad of perspective and not just simply one discipline in that sense. So a few more words about the faculty. So we have, as I mentioned, you will be learning with the faculty that is in-house, but also with a lot of visiting faculty, which taps into our proximity to international Geneva and all the ties that we have with experts there. So they teach classes for us. It's very exciting because you're really sort of at the cutting edge of what is happening in these courses. So this is something for you to experience if you join the interdisciplinary program. I just want to say a few words about the structure. So you'll be following courses are sort of part of a common core, which includes methods courses and a course on exploring global challenges through a transdisciplinary lens. So these are all big words. I mean, I really invite you to have a look at the website to kind of look at the detail, and especially the second component of the program, which is the specialization. So you will be asked actually at the point of application to indicate a preference for specialization that you would like to follow. And this is, so it's a group of 7 specialization. You can indicate 2 preferences. And from the beginning of the program, you will be in the specialization, which is a little bit different. This is an evolution. This is a bit different at the moment for Zora and Vivian, but this is something happening from next year. So let me just share with you the specialization. There are in conflict, peace and security, in environment and sustainability, in gender, race and diversity, in global health, in human rights and humanitarianism, mobilities, migrations, boundary, and last but not least, sustainable trade and finance. So if you have a look at our website, I think since so many of you are in the room, the chat won't work so well, but I'm very happy to share the link where you can find out much more about the specialization, what they'll entail, the kind of faculty and the courses you can expect to take as part of those. So that was the second, and I guess specialization is the second big component of the program. Then you have applied research and practice. And so this is where you'll be taking skills workshop that are sort of related to the specialization, but also to what we think or what employers tell us they want our students to have when they leave the institute. That are, so you might expect that change, I should add, just from year to year, but usually we have things, for example, this year on program management, on data visualization, on negotiation techniques, crisis communication, all that type of things. And you can also do an internship as part of that pillar of the program where you can get credit for an internship in which you participate. And so, Michal has mentioned briefly the career services, and they're there to assist you to kind of help and build this connection and build your network while you're here in Geneva, which is really a strength of the program. And the last component is the thesis, and that indeed happens during the last semester of the program. And this is something that where you can really, dig deep into a topic of interest to you, being supervised by, of course, member faculty here in Geneva, and applying this interdisciplinary lens and all the knowledge and skills that you've acquired over the past semesters. So I'm sorry for talking so quickly. I hope it was clear enough. I mean, I'm available if you have any questions specifically about the program, but I'd really much rather hand over to Vivian and Zora, who can really tell you firsthand what it's like for them to be here in Geneva on the BAMA program. So over to you.
Thank you. That was excellent. Thank you very much. Why don't we start with Zora, because I know Zora has to leave very soon. So Zora, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good. Why don't you just, share with us just kind of your impressions. Tell us a bit about the classes you're taking, what it's been like transitioning from Smith to the Graduate Institute.
It's been, so I'm taking, so basically the coursework is, I felt that Smith prepared me really well for the coursework, first of all. So in that ways, in terms of like the structure of the course, we do like a lot of reading and then kind of reading responses, which should feel familiar to students. But the level obviously is a lot higher. So I'm still an undergrad technically, and a lot of people around me have already graduated. So it can be difficult at times just to, get through some of the work. But the staff is really, first of all, the staff is world renowned and have contributed amazing work to the field of international relations, which is so cool, but they're also really approachable and supportive when I do have questions or I am struggling with certain readings. Culturally and socially, it's really exciting to be more aware of your nationality as an American, which is a pretty unique experience of just being aware of, what it means to be American in foreign spaces and the ways that impacts people's perception of you and the way that you move through the world. So I've also really liked that. The French is difficult sometimes, but people, there's also like a lot of, help, and I'm in the French course right now. Sorry, I'm also talking quickly.
Oh, no, no
I
worries.
hope that was helpful.
That was really helpful. Thank you. There may be some questions, but let's turn to Vivi. And why don't you just share your impressions of sort of how things have gone so far?
Yeah, it's been really great so far in pretty much every way. Like Zora said, it's definitely a transition to go from Smith, and especially from online Smith to in-person grad school was quite a transition, but it's been really good. And the professors here are really, really open and helpful. And you just have to, I think it's a little bit, you have to take more initiative in order to get support from the professors. But if you do go to them and talk to them, they're lovely and helpful. And socially, it's really, really fun and exciting to be in this environment with people who are from all kinds of different places and are bringing so many different perspectives. And like, we're some of the youngest people here. Like, there's obviously other people who are 21, 22, 23, but there's also people who are like 30. So it's really interesting to have like such a diverse in every way social group. And I came here fluent in French, but I would say it's definitely an asset, but it's not a must. It's not necessary. And you will absolutely find that most of the social activities at the Institute are in English because everyone is coming from such diverse backgrounds. I think the only time you need French is to go into the city and, hang out with people from Geneva, which is also a great thing to do. And I definitely would encourage you to do it, but don't worry about French. It'll come.
Thank you. I have lots of questions, but I want to let the students hear, or if you're a student participating remotely, you can use the hand raise feature under reactions. Does anybody have any questions for any of our speakers about the Graduate Institute, about life in Geneva, about the residences, about
Howard?
Yes.
Howard, yeah, sorry. Maybe let's ask Vivian and Zora about their living. Are both of you staying at one of the student residences?
Tell us what those are like compared to Smith residences.
We're both in Grand Orient, which is the new one. So it's very new, it's very fancy, it's very high tech. But it's really nice. Smith, I'm not sure if they'll do the same residence thing for people who are coming next year, but we are in studio apartments with little tiny kitchens. So we have like everything we need in this little room. And it's fun. It's the biggest student residence, so everyone is here. Well, bye, Zora.
Bye, everybody.
Zora,
I hope you guys come. You really should.
Thank you very
It's really
much.
fun. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask Eliane a question? For students returning in their fifth year, will they have access to the same housing?
Absolutely, yes. Well, I just put the link of housing in the chat. I really invite you to contact the housing administration at the soonest, but now with the Grand Morillon, you remember, Howard, in the past when we had only
Yes.
one residence, it was a little bit of
Yes.
an issue, but now with the
Yes.
Grand Morillon, it's possible to have a room only for the full semester, but I really invite you to do this at the soonest to book a room there.
Right. Good. Do we have any questions about the tracks, about? Yeah, go ahead.
What were they majoring in?
Our students?
Yeah.
Vivi, what did you major in before you started this program? What are you majoring in at Smith?
I am an anthropology and government double major, which I'm doing the interdisciplinary master, and I think that prepared me super, super well. I'm actually like repeating course material here from some of my anthropology and government classes at Smith, but I think any social science degree from Smith, you will probably be set up pretty well.
And I believe Zora is a government major, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she is.
We've had economics, history, government, anthropology, sociology over the years. They tend to be social sciences. I will say, I meant to say earlier, but I kind of got frazzled when we lost our projector. Eliane pointed out we started this program in 2015. We were, if I'm not mistaken, we were the first American school to partner with the Graduate Institute, and we've had 18 students since then. But I counted before earlier. We've had 18 students participate in the program, including Vivi and this year's cohort. So we tend to send 1 to 4 per year. And I should also say, which I didn't say at the beginning, that you heard eloquent presentations about the Graduate Institute. I can just tell you this is one of the highest quality graduate programs in the world for the study of international relations and development. So this is really a unique opportunity that's offered to Smith students. Not to mention the financial and time saving by doing it in 5 years in addition to 6. Yeah, sure.
I have a question that may be just particular to me, so I can email it.
You can ask it, go ahead.
But is there any flexibility for like students that are graduating in January?
Yeah, this has come up before, but unfortunately, we can't. The question was, if a student is finishing earlier at Smith, is graduating in January, could she still participate in the program? And Eliane and I have discussed this, and we've never come up with a way that this works. The reason being, you go as a junior, right? You have 96 credits, and you go as a senior, and when you are gone, Smith counts that semester abroad as that fall semester as study abroad credit. But when you come, you have to come back to Smith because the Graduate Institute counts the credits that you get here after you started. So if you were a J, that wouldn't work.
And you wouldn't be able to go like prior because it has to be the school year.
Yes. Yeah, it won't. You're not the first person to ask this, and we just never come up with a way for this to work. Yeah.
Is it possible to go for you as your senior and then in between studying as a graduate student in Geneva to take like a gap year before you do the graduate program, or you have to go straight through?
So the question is, if you start as under normal circumstances as a senior in your fall semester at Smith, you go to the Graduate Institute, you come back to Smith, you finish the BA. Could you defer your 5th year for a year if you wanted to take a year off in between? Is that something that's possible?
Howard, I think we have discussed this during the very special during the pandemic. That was something right. we had considered, but finally I think none of the students really chose this option. We don't really recommend it. But again, I mean, if that would be a question, and you have a good reason because you have to, I mean, you have to do an internship, or you have to, maybe that's something to address then to our direction of studies. But like usually we would not consider that.
Right, we did have one case where we did, because of the pandemic and everything got messed up, but in the end she chose not to do it. But I think Eliane is right. If there were extenuating circumstances that kind of justified you taking that gap year, either personal or academic, I'm sure the graduate institute would consider it.
Yeah, so if I could just jump in here, because it's from the Office of the Director of Studies, you know, and given that there would be, you know, graduate institute students, I think it applies that you need specific, only under certain circumstances, you can get a leave of absence for a semester or more. It is possible, but it is only under very specific circumstances. And for example, an internship would not qualify. I mean, it's more sort of personal reason, you know, and also employment. In that case, you know, there are possibilities, but it's quite narrow. So we'd have to discuss it. I'd be happy to raise it if needed with the person interested.
Good question.
Yeah.
If I can just add one last consideration on that. In terms of deferring admission, that's something that we do not do for anyone, except very, very special circumstances, you know, very severe, unforeseen circumstances that can be documented. And so this would be kind of in between a case of deferring admission and, as Silke said, a leave of absence, which is interrupting a current program. So both of these situations would require really exceptional circumstances and a special approval by the Director of Studies. It's not something that we routinely would approve for anybody. So, you know, and in the case of, you know, this in particular, because you're kind of interrupting, you've already done one semester of the graduate program. So it's not like you're taking a gap year between undergrad and grad. You're taking a gap year in the middle of your graduate program. So I would just reconsider that. You're already shaving off a year of the whole thing. Would it not make sense to then do the internship or the gap experience at the end? So, you know, that's just
Yeah, one of the reasons typically would be also a medical leave, for example, for any reason, or pregnancy, or and just to come back to the student support, also very shortly, also to say that if you need any special accommodations, you know, we're here also to respond to these, or to check these out. And we also have psychologists at the institute we offer up to 5 sessions for free to our students per semester, to meet with our psychologists, yeah, for personal questions or questions related to mental health.
I'm going to ask Vivi a quick question, which is, how big are your classes?
How big are my classes?
Yeah.
It really depends. I have like one sort of required class for first years in my program that is, I would like 60 or 65 students. And I know that people who are taking the required statistics course, that course is quite large, maybe over 100. Don't quote me on that. I actually got to get out of it because of Professor Gold's statistics class. So if you take statistics with Professor Gold, you can escape graduate statistics. But I also have classes that are less than 20 students. So it depends. There are required classes, and then there are elective classes, and there are, you know, of course, things that are more niche, and you can definitely get into a smaller class if that's something you care about.
And Vivi, have you had the opportunity to explore Geneva at all?
Yes, it's been fun. Especially with the other Smithies who are with me, I get to be the one. I'm a fluent French speaker and spoke it growing up, so I'm sort of the default tour guide translator, which has been really fun. I've gotten to go to a lot of places that I wouldn't have gone to, and the city is really. People told me before coming here that Geneva was boring, but I strong disagree now. Actually, I think that it's just a city where it matters to really like explore and to meet people. And if you meet people, you will end up being invited to things and getting to have really cool experiences. But if you don't talk to people, then I guess it would be boring. but it's people here are really lovely and nice, and there's a lot of like beautiful places and good food and fun social things happening.
Great. Do we have any final questions before we let our colleagues 5 hours later their weekend is about to begin when we say goodbye? No, so I guess we're done. Thank you all very much. That was really great. I'm really sorry about the technical difficulties early on, but we seem to have recovered. If you have questions, you can contact me or Lisa or Angela. We can also put you in touch with all of our friends here in Geneva. So thank you all very much. Really great. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank
for
you.
Have a lovely weekend.
You
And
too.
we
Have a
will
great
see
week.
you next week, the next year, sorry.
Yeah, for sure.
Next week would be great.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Bye-bye, everyone.